Welcome to all you Geminis. Here's your horoscope for July already, for July 2015. And let's have a look what the planets have in store for you Geminis. Well, there is again a lot going on, and there is for all of us, there's three things that I think are mainly important. First of all, there is the clash, the square happening between Jupiter and Saturn, which is a bit of a clash between faith and work, and faith and growth and restrictions. And on the other hand, there's the Venus-Jupiter conjunction still going on, and the Venus retrograde. And then there is a lot of activity in your second house in Cancer. But let's get started with the most important thing, the clash between Jupiter and Saturn. And it's quite important for you because it happens on a very important point in your horoscope. What is this all about? Well, Jupiter is your ability to grow, your expansion, it's your belief, it's your faith, it's your optimism, it's possibilities. And that is now in your third house, in your house actually. It's the house of the Gemini, the house of communication, the house of the environment. So that's that. And on the other hand, there's Saturn. And Saturn is about restrictions, our restrictions. It's about hard work. It's about discipline. It's about getting real. It's about planet Earth. And that was in your seventh house of relationships. And it's still on the cusp of it. It's going a bit backwards into the sixth house. So 29, 28 degrees of Scorpio, but it's still on that cusp. So it means it's actually in two houses. It's in the sixth and it's in the seventh. So if those two clash, Jupiter and Saturn, a square means there's no balance. So it's up to all of us to get a bit more balance between our optimism and between our pessimism, between the possibilities and between the restrictions, between our fate and between what is possible. So we will all have this. And how this will happen for you in these general horoscopes, I have split it up. Two kind of Geminis. If you are the kind of Gemini that has that's quite Saturnal-like. In other words, you know what your responsibilities are. You're quite someone who has the discipline. You are someone with boundaries. You are someone who has your rules, your morals, and all of that. Then this will apply for you, okay? But there's also the other kind of Gemini, who is more the kind of Jupiterian kind of Gemini, who is more towards growth, who is more towards exploring, who's not so much of the boundaries. But let's start with, if it resonates with you, if you are a Gemini that is quite realistic and quite feet on the ground, then the imbalance that is happening is because you go too much towards the Saturn. You are becoming too much, seeing things too real, too realistic. You're being too hard on yourself. You're being too hard on relationships probably as well, because Saturn is in your seventh house and on the cusp of the sixth. Or also work. It could be the sixth house is also work and your health. You're being too strict. You're being too, those times that we have these inner critics in our head that are a bit too critical. And then your message would be, loosen up a little bit. Have a bit more enjoyment. Have a bit more enjoyment with what? With third house issues. Maybe with siblings. Maybe with your environment. Having a party in your house. Asking for the neighbors for a drink or whatever, doing something fun with learning something that you like very much, or teaching something. So these are all, or talking or writing or reading. So if that resonates with you, with being too hard on yourself and all of that, you need to go, this is a sign that, hey, what about your enjoyment? What about pleasure? You need to broaden up a little bit. So, but maybe you are the Gemini that is very much and I think most Geminis are a bit like that, especially when they are younger. They are very open, they want to know a bit of everything and they want to explore. They don't want to go too much in depth and too serious. Life is already that serious. You want to celebrate, you want to have fun and so on. If you are that kind of person, then, and you may be having very much fun with third house things, which is writing and talking and communicating on the internet, maybe too much on the internet, but liking it, then Saturn will knock on your door and will say, hey, what about your responsibility? What about, you can have a chat or communicate with your neighbors and with your siblings, but what about me, says your loved one, for instance. Then, you know, you need to go a bit more to your responsibilities that are in 7th house, 6th house responsibilities, which is relationships, which is work. So it depends on your unique horoscope, which way you need to readjust a little bit in order for you to get on your path, get on the right path, and get your balance again. So there is a lot, especially with the Venus going retrograde in your 3rd house. There's so much expansion possible in that 3rd house. Again, so much expansion possible for studying, for doing new things, learning something new, from learning how to type on the computer to how to drive a car, how to learn a new language. There's so much possibility, so much enjoyment, but you also need to balance that with, you know, you also need to know your limits. So growth in those areas, yes, but do it step by step and gradually. Don't jump into it, you know, like Geminis can do. They kind of jump into something and then they're bored and then they jump into something else. So you can balance these two. And this is very nice for the Geminis, especially when they can grow so fast. Considering this Gemini kind of house, you can become even better communicators than you already are. So that's one thing. Venus going backwards it's around the end of the month, the 25th, 26th. Venus goes, as it wants to go into the 4th house, it goes back into the 3rd. It can mean that maybe if you haven't been seeing your siblings for a long time, it's a good time to reconnect. It's a good time to reconnect again with people from the environment. And maybe you need to reconcile some stuff. Maybe you need to, or maybe an old love that comes back into the neighborhood, and you need to let go of things, and you see the more broader perspective of that relationship. So there's a lot of enjoyment, and there's also a lot of good karma going on there with the Venus and the Jupiter in your 3rd house. So these are the areas where it could be happening for you. Also, short trips, make those short trips. It can really, really help you. But again, mind those other areas, those restrictions. So maybe you can't go on a trip for 4 weeks because of your responsibilities at work. Then go for 1 week. You know, this kind of energy. And the last thing I want to mention is a lot of activity in your 2nd house, and it's all male planets there. The Mars there and Sun there, and also your ruler Mercury. And the 2nd house is your value. And it could be money issues. It could be that it opposes Pluto and Uranus. So in the beginning, it might be a bit stressful, but you're doing it anyway. So it might be in the beginning a bit stressful to, maybe you want to earn a bit more money. Maybe you want to be more active and restructure or rethink. Because Mercury is there as well. You want to find some solutions to improve your financial situation, or you just might work hard on your talents. So it has to do with that 3rd house. Maybe you're learning something new and you're putting a lot of effort there. It could also be your self-confidence. You're working very hard, and you're doing it from within. You're working very hard to become more confident into something that you don't feel that comfortable. Because Mars and the Sun are male planets that give you the drive. So an interesting month for you Geminis, and I wish you all the luck with it. I want to thank you as well for all your support, for all you are watching and sharing my videos, ordering readings, and it really is nice, and to not only nice, it's kind. I hate the word nice. And So thank you for that. Have a good month, you dear Geminis, and see you next month. Bye-bye.